Instead of seeing it negative, see it as a positive. We know in Islam, if you have a disease, it's a gift. It's a cleansing process. Tahurun insha'Allah. This is the prayer of the Prophet to the people who became ill. He used to say to them, Tahurun insha'Allah. May that be a cleansing for you. Yeah? Some companions were so thankful when they got ill. And one of the companions, when he heard that should a believer be inflicted with any pain, even a thorn poking him, and they have patience in it, then they get rewards for it. And he said, Oh Almighty Allah, give me a gift of a fever that will not stop me from praying. He said, the only thing I want to do is to be able to pray. And for the rest of his life, he was so pale with fever, it never left him, because he took that as a cleansing process. So 3 things. A'udhu billah, dhikrullah, be thankful, and change the focus from seeing negative, see the positive. For everything there's a positive side of it. There's a lighter side of everything. Anything that is there is the brighter side and the darker side. Where you choose to focus, it becomes a reality. And I repeat the formula of psychologists. Thoughts that are emotionalized become magnetized and attract similar thoughts. And nothing succeeds like successful thoughts. Nothing gives you health like healthy thoughts. Another question I heard from someone asking me here, he says, you say that we should be careful of doctors. No, don't be careful of doctors. Go to them. They know their job. All I'm saying, the biggest healing process is not what doctors do to you. It's not what you eat. It's not what you think. It's not what you feel. It's what you believe. If you believe the cure is with doctors, go for it. If you believe the cure is in healthy eating, go for it. If you believe the cure is in positive emotions, go for it. I just gave you a menu today. Choose where you focus. Yeah? But the strengthening your belief is the healing number 1. We read in the Quran, وَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. When I become ill, Allah is the one who cures me. Allah is the one who heals me. Doctors are instrumental. We have to do our bit for Allah to do His bit. So you decide. Where you put your belief, go for it. I hope I've answered. Jazakallah khair. Another question? Ladies, if you have the mic, just shout. Because we don't see you and you raise your hands.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
You mentioned, Shaykh Khalfan, there's only one shop in Oman which sells organic food.
Yes.
Is it possible you can share with us? And how do you differentiate between organic and non-organic stuff? Thank you.
Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Good question. You said there's only one shop that you know that sells the organic food. Do you know Sultan Center near Al-Adheba? That is the one that sells. The one that I know. If there are any others, I don't know of. Yeah? And how do you know organic from inorganic? The only way to know is what you plant at home. We trust people who sell, and we hope they are selling us organic. But if you ask me how do you know, I say the only way to know, to be sure, is what you plant with your own hand. And I encourage everyone at the backyard of their house to have a small area for organic stuff, specifically when the weather is nice. Lettuce, cucumber, you have tomatoes, you have green peppers. Yeah, you know the chili ones, they are good as well. Vitamin C you get out of them. It's good when they burn you, it's good. Yeah, it stimulates your appetite as well. So if you don't have an appetite, go for them. Yeah, it's not acidic. Whoever told you it's acidic, they're wrong. Yeah, so go for this stuff. Yeah. Go for seeds. Seeds are good. Yeah, all types of seeds are good for you. Yeah, because then most of them. And then if you know someone in Africa, when they send this stuff by air cargo, go for it. The avocado from Africa, bananas from Africa. Africa don't have a lot of money to spend on chemicals. That is organic. And if you have time to spare, travel for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and just go organic. Eat fresh stuff. You'll feel the difference. Wallahu alam.
Alaikum Shaykh Khalfan.
Alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Just have one question. There's a saying that says, "Kulli da'in dawa." So, inshallah, we're hoping that there is a cure for cancer, but maybe, so are pharmaceutical companies hiding it, or this is the question?
Inshallah. Yeah, there's a saying of the Prophet ﷺ, لِكُلِّ دَاءٍ دَوَاءٍ. Allah did not bring down a disease except He brought a cure for it. Whilst that is true, from what I hear, the pharmaceutical industry don't want to lose. And they want the business to continue. I am told, one therapy, one session, when I go for these chemo, the cost of it is not less than 1,500 Omani riyals per session, one person. I have to have that every 2 weeks for 6 months. You do your calculation. In Oman, I don't know how many thousands we have. How many thousands go abroad? It's big business. How do you know pharmaceutical industries play the game? Every time somebody discovers a cure, they would go and buy the proprietary right, and they will shelf that for a while. Do you remember N1H1? Is it N1H1 or H1N1? I can never tell you. Do you remember that when we had it a few years ago? It was a scam. Do you know how much they sold all over the world? They control the media, they can pay the media to do whatever. It wasn't there. But how many people in Oman had to take the injection? Do you know how much costed each one? Go and ask the doctors. Yeah? So it's a business. Same thing with the oil companies. I know we have His Excellency the Minister here. Not Oman per se, but the big oil companies. Whenever technology is discovered that can provide better services, they try to go and buy the technology before it reaches the users. Why? So they can charge you more for it. That game was being played, am I right? Say yes. He says yes. It's a market, yeah? You control the market if you have the know-how, and they want to keep the know-how. And all I'm saying, in nature, we have the healing process. And all medicines, and by the way, all medicines are stem from nature. And the only way they can go and claim, the proprietary right is when they add a synthetic element into it. If it is 100% natural, you cannot go and say, this is my copyright. You cannot go and claim to be yours because it's natural. So if you add one dot of synthetic into it, then you can say, I've modified it a bit. Yeah? So there's a game being played there. Do not become part of the game. Look after yourself today, before it's too late. Wallahu alam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I was just asking about the 3 groups of people, what you said when you knew you were ill.
Yes.
Maybe there is a group who didn't come forward, not because they didn't care, but because they felt maybe they would be imposing on you when you're in that condition, and they were just continuing to pray for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have no knowledge of, that they didn't come forward.
Thank you for that question. Good question. I know a lot of people felt guilty because they didn't come to see me, and some of them came to apologize. Let me put you at ease. I was not meaning those who did not come to visit me, nor was I looking for everybody to come and visit me. For I know I felt the power of dua when people were making for me without coming. All I was saying, there was a group of people who were exploiting me, using me to serve them. So I had very regular contact with them to help them solve their issues. Yet when I became ill, they didn't even phone. So such people are the ones I was referring to. They exploit, they take advantage, but they are selfish. And I can say, knowing the many people I know, yeah, they don't fall in that category. And I know amongst you ladies, there are many of you who wanted to visit me, but you are afraid of my wife. And I can understand that. And she is here tonight. Yeah? And I can understand why you didn't visit me, although I did feel the power of dua. Because one way or the other, Allah made me feel the power. Because I believe today, I am where I am. Number one is because of the immense support I got from the community. That is something, as I said, was a big revelation for me. Where I stand in the society and how much they love me and how much affection they have for me and how much they want to see me back in the society active as I was. So that group, they are in the category number 2. These are the people who wanted to help but didn't know how to help. They did it their way, quietly, silently, sometimes by visiting, sometimes by not. So those, you maybe fall in the category number 2, although I don't know you. I say that because my wife is here.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Sheikh Khalfan, the question I had, maybe it's more of clarification about taking medication. You mentioned that medication doesn't help. What in cases where people have diseases like diabetes or high blood pressure? Because it may be understood that they shouldn't get any treatment at all.
No.
Because they should stick to the 4 or 5 principles that you mentioned. We already have some of our family members who are elderly who do not want to take medication for these chronic diseases because they believe they just want to go for the herbal and they should stop their diabetic medication, and if they're taking insulin, they should stop. I just wanted a bit of clarification. Are you saying that they should stop these, or what are you referring to a particular disease in particular like cancer?
Inshallah. Thank you for the question. Again, I'll clarify myself. It's what people believe in that matters. What I said about medicine as it is all chemicals. And our bodies have not been designed to handle chemicals for a prolonged period of time. I know today youngsters, the minute they have a headache, they rush to take medicine. I know mothers who have children, the minute they have a cold, they go for very strong antibiotics. And I say that is wrong. People have to consult doctors, yeah? And as a comparison, when I went for treatment to Germany, I had pain. So I asked for painkillers. And they gave me tablets. Took the tablets, half an hour later, the pain is still there. So I said, the pain is still there, persistent. They said, okay, we'll give you stronger medicine. They gave me stronger medicine. It didn't work. And then I asked them, what are you giving me? In the first instance, they gave me medicine that was 50 milligram. In the second instance, they gave me 75 milligram. I said, it's not working. So I said to my wife, go to the pharmacy and get me something stronger, 100 plus. She went to the pharmacy and they said, we cannot give you without prescription, 100. Here in Oman, I go to a pharmacy, I get 500, a painkiller of 500 without a prescription. Do you see my point? I can go and buy Ponstan here, 500 milligrams without prescription. Same medicine in Germany, only 50 milligrams. 10 times less. A tenth of the dose I was given. Radiation, the same thing. Very light. They don't want the body to become lazy. They want the body to participate in fighting the disease. Here, antibiotics. Not all doctors. I'm talking about the private clinic specifically. They give you very strong injections, antibiotics, and you feel you're good. But what you don't know is how much they're destroying the body. It is that I'm referring to. Here we tend to live on medicine rather than only live it by exception or by the need. Those who have chronic diseases such as hypertension and diabetics, continue with the dose, continue with the doctors. I'm not stopping anybody. But I was talking specifically today or tonight about cancer. Yeah, I am still pursuing the mainstream medicine. I'm still taking my chemo, and I'm going for medication checkup. But I put my belief, my faith, not in that, but I put it in Allah to heal me and cure me. So I go also for the alternative as well. So I'm doing a parallel activity. In actual fact, all the 4 streams, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, the physical, I'm attacking the disease, if I call it attacking, with all the 4 strategies or the 4 categories, without an exception. But I'm not overdoing on the medicine side or the physical side. I'm overdoing on the spiritual and the emotional, because I believe the power is there. I hope I've answered. Thank you. One more question from ladies?
Yes, please.
Okay, and then we'll go to gents.
السلام عليكم Shaykh Khalfan.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
أفاك الله وشفاك.
آمين.
First of all, I would like to thank you to take the Bible and come over to share your story in spite of what you're going through. Jazakallah kullu khair.
آمين.
I don't know, for me, coming here is not the subject what attracted me to come here. The cancer is not attracting me. I don't know for others, but out of curiosity, I wanted to know how you're doing, first of all. And the second thing is just to tell you that we care about you, and we've been following you previously with your all lectures and inspiring you for me, a motivational person. I like your soil, I like your behavior, and I think what you taught today is very inspiring for us, and inshallah, bishtiku afi.
Ameen. Shukran, shukran. Thank you for the words of encouragement, and thank you for the prayers. May Allah give us strength to continue.
السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. تفضل.
إن شاء الله نسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى يشفيك يا شيخ.
آمين.
Just a clarity. I've been reading books and it says that the body treats by itself at 90%. The only 10% is medicine. Can you give a bit of clarity on that?
No. Thank you. Yeah, you've been reading a book that says 90% of the body will heal itself, and 10% it requires intervention from outside. I think as human beings, and doctors will testify to that, we do not understand how complex the body is. It was meant to look after itself. As long as you do not interfere. The minute you begin to interfere with the body system, then you are asking for trouble. Starting with what we eat. The Prophet of Islam said, مَا مَلَأَ ابْنُ آدَمَ وِعَاءً شَرًّا مِنْ بَطْنِهِ. The son of Adam has never filled a pot that is so evil than his tummy, his stomach. بِحَسْبِ ابْنِ آدَمَ الْوَقَيْمَاتٍ يُقِمْنَ صُلْبًا. Enough is a few handful bits, and bites, to sustain the body, to keep it upright. فإن كان آكل, if there is no way but to eat, فثلث لطعامه وثلث لشرابه وثلث لنفسه. Then one has to divide the stomach into 3. A third is for solids, a third is for liquid, and a third is for air. My question is this: how many times do we Muslims who pretend, who claim to believe in Allah and His Prophet, follow this formula? Specifically when it is a feast, malka or uzuma, when there is a big plate of biryani there and plenty of meat. How many times do we really look after our bodies? The Prophet of Islam said in another hadith, نحن قوم لا نأكل حتى نجوع وإذا أكلنا لا نشبع. We are a group of people, we are a nation that do not eat until we go hungry. And when we eat, we never become full. In other words, we don't eat until we are hungry. And when we eat, we always leave the food and we still have the appetite to eat more. We go for 3-course meals, sometimes 5-course meals. And sometimes we need to sit for 1 hour to be able to stand up because we cannot breathe anymore. And then we say, well, what's wrong with us? And then if you come look at how much oil, the 3 poisons, sugar, flour, salt we have in our diet. It's incredible. How much meat we eat, and all of it is hormones and chemicals. So the minute you tamper with the body, you interfere with the body, you don't go organic, you go to this, you're asking for trouble. And therefore, bear the consequences. But the body can look after itself if left alone. That's why in the month of Ramadan, hospitals become empty. Why do they become empty? Because we are stopping throwing all these poisons in our body. In the month of Ramadan, every year, number of beds that become empty in hospital are more in comparison to other months. Why? صوموا تصحوا. Fast and be healthy. Wallahu a'lam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
It's an honor to be here, Sheikh Esry.
Thank you.
Okay. My question is, once diagnosed with an illness, anxiety kicks in immediately. What is the best way to fight anxiety?
Very good question. Thank you. I think I'll add to that question also for those who have been inflicted with or have been gifted with the disease, how to handle it. Indeed, the biggest killer is anxiety, fear, worries. They tend to add insult to an injury. They make it worse. They exacerbate the matter. And I think the first thing, what I learned from my period of being ill and listening to a lot of talks and doing a lot of research, one of the scholars said, actually when people they are told they are sick or they are ill or they have an illness, such people ought to celebrate with jubilation. And they have to realize that 5 things are happening, 5 things. He said, first and foremost, they have been invited to be closer to Allah. So they become the VIPs to Allah. Because now that they have a disease, they have an illness, they're going to be purified through that illness, and henceforth they're going to be elevated to become closer to Allah. فَهُمْ فِي مَعِيَّةِ اللَّهِ. Number 2, when they go through pain and they say, the angels hear the word and write it as Allah. فأنين المريض هو ذكر. أنين المريض هو ذكر. When they go through that pain and they are quietly making that sound, the angels record it as they are invoking the name of Allah. Number 3, they are being tested on their patients. And being tested, if they become patient, then that is a sign of them becoming closer and they get rewarded for it. إِنَّمَا يُوَفَّى الصَّابِرُونَ أَجْرَهُمْ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ. He continues and says, number 4, people who are inflicted with a negativity, with a calamity, with something wrong, they tend to become closer to Allah than away from Allah. As Allah says in the Quran, indicating that, وَإِذَا أَنْعَمْنَا عَلَى الْإِنسَانِ أَعْرَضَ وَنَأَى بِجَانِبِهِ. When you give provisions to people, to human being, they tend to turn their back and become so casual in their lives, in their relationship with Allah. وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ فَذُو دُعَاءٍ عَرِيضٍ. And when they're afflicted with a calamity, with something wrong, then they tend to make long prayers. And that is an opportunity to become closer to Allah. That is number 4. Number 5, it is an opportunity, like I had, to re-evaluate life, to reflect upon it, to readjust my life, call it a wake-up call it a warning, call it whatever it is, call it a message. It's an opportunity to square things with Allah and to go back on the right path. So anytime we need to begin to educate people that becoming sick, becoming ill is a gift. It's not a punishment. And being a gift, one ought to embrace it rather than run away from it. Because one way or the other, this is how Allah works. There are people who are truly fit, and just like that they're gone, and there are people who have been ill for a long time and they're still alive. So disease do not kill. What kills are the anxieties, the negative thoughts, and some people make more damage to that. So the best way to stop that is to be positive about it, to embrace the illness, and indeed to have a very supporting family. I'm so thankful that Allah blessed me with a family that was truly supportive. They stood by me 24/7, unquestionably, despite my mood changing because of the medicine, yet with all the time they were there for me. So I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to have been giving me that gift, for them to be around me, and I can never thank them enough for that.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much. We're honored for your dua and for you being here. We are all happy in Black. And I would like to touch what the hadith of Rasulullah saying, "Go faradakum sadaqat." And what I can see from your practice, I mean, practical that you're giving us knowledge. It's part of sadaqat.
Jazakallah khair.
Allah yashfik.
Jazakallah khair. The question says that the Prophet of Islam said, "Dawu maradakum bis sadaqat." Treat you beloved ones who are ill with charity. Absolutely. That goes without saying. And indeed, many ways to thank Allah. One of them is to give charity. So by showing gratitude, by seeking Allah's mercy, by giving something away, in one way is to thank Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in return will bless the person who is ill or the person who is sick, and the family will get to see what is good. Nevertheless, it does not mean that when I give sadaqah, I'm going to be healed. One thing is that we should never ever question on what Allah chooses to do. If Allah wants me to be ill for a year, then I'm going to be ill for a year despite of what I do. If He wants me to have this chronic disease for the rest of my life, then He has chosen so for a reason. There is a wisdom behind anything that happens. The main thing is for me to embrace and accept what Allah is doing to me. By accepting it and embracing it, I'm preparing myself for a long haul. I'm taking treatment now. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I'm prepared for tomorrow anyway. I'm prepared for any eventuality that may arise, and I'm not going to question why this has happened. When I go for a checkup and they tell me we have some news, I said, please go ahead and tell me. Although we have been working here, it has appeared here. I say, Alhamdulillah. Allah wants me to be His guest a bit longer. So take it positively. Continue with sadaqah, but do not wait for results. Whether it is sadaqah, whether it is dua, whether it is prayers, whether it is treatment, whether it is healing, whether it is whatever program you go through, do not wait for results. Leave and trust Allah to work on the results. Rely that Allah knows better than you and me, and He knows what is best for you, therefore accept it. That's why the Prophet of Islam taught us to say, when something good happened to him, he said, Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, alladhi bi ni'matihi tatimmu salihat, for His provisions, everything good happens, is accomplished. When something wrong happened to him, he said, Alhamdulillah, ala kulli hal. Praise be to Allah through all eventualities and all conditions. We do not ask Allah, we do not question Allah, we do not debate with Allah, we do not even challenge Allah on what He chooses to do to us. Accept it with full faith and confidence that Allah gives you what is best for you. Once you do that, then you are in His good, capable hands. Wallahu a'lam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa barakatuh.
Well, you previously mentioned that while your mother was going through cancer, may Allah grant her mercy,
Ameen.
you felt helpless.
Yes.
Well, that's almost my situation. So I was wondering, how can we kill the feeling of helplessness and instead be helpful, especially emotionally and mentally? And thank you.
Jazakallah. Indeed, Allah wanted me to go through that journey and my family to go that journey. And Allah also was preparing us to allow our mother to depart because we were so attached to her. And every day that came by, it was a lesson to us to begin to accept that eventually she is going to leave us, she is going to depart. Which meant that we had a chance and opportunity to serve her, look after her, give her our love, our affection, our emotion, our attention, our time, longer than what we had in the past. So we had a chance to give her the best before she left, and to seek her pleasures and her rida before she left. Feeling helpless was because of our weak faith, our weak iman.